Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast. Let's get it going out there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the world. Welcome on into the Sports Buffoon studios once again for episode 150-something. Who goddamn knows these days? We've been getting at it now for the last couple of years, so we've lost track.
Big time.
And so today we got my boy Tanner Dawson. Jason JG is absent from this one. He will be back, I hope, next week and be back as normal and doing all the good JG things. So
exactly.
No worries for him. He'll be back. And he did send us in his pick of the week, but we're not going to get to that just yet. We have some things to jump into today, obviously. I mean, we got college football playoffs around the corner. K-State in the Big 12 championship against TCU this weekend. That's going to be fun to watch that, which at this point, K-State's ranked number 10 in the nation. Truth be told, they could beat just about anybody. So with the way that they play, I think that they're sneaky to beat anyone, even a undefeated TCU team.
Yeah, and we'll get into that towards the end of the show today.
Right. But first and foremost, we saw some banter on Twitter earlier this evening between Justin Reed and Jamar Chase. I don't know how much you've dug into that yet, Tanner.
I actually did not see any of it.
Well, okay.
I haven't been on Twitter.
There was a question posed to Chief Safety Justin Reed about, what he would have done, to lock up the Bengals receiving group last year. And he basically, there was something with the phrase of that he would have locked up T. Higgins was the answer. Now, he did clarify on Twitter saying he was actually talking about the tight end, apparently. So, but anyways, this got out there and on the Twitter sphere, the Elon Musk world, and Jamar Chase did not like the chatter, the talk from Justin Reed about how Reed's just going to somehow single-handedly just lock it all down, which we know that's probably not going to happen. That's
fair.
Not the way that works.
That's fair.
At the end of the day, basically Jamar Chase, this was an interesting comment. He goes, tuna in a can with a cat face on it. That was his final response to Justin Reed. And then,
oh man!
So at this point, tuna in a can with a cat face on it sounds like a stinky pussy. So I'm assuming that's where that's coming from. So,
that's fair.
So anyways, guys, throwing some fuel to the fire for the Flames here coming into the week. I can't wait to watch Chiefs Bengals. We're going to talk about that here more in a few minutes. But I think it's going to be a huge game. Obviously, the Chiefs care a lot about this after losing twice last year to the Bengals, including the ultimate letdown. Mahomes' worst second half of his entire career came in that AFC championship game against the Bengals. And I'm sure there's a lot of guys on this team right now that feel like
he referenced it too after the game. So with the matchup coming up, so
right, it's going to be a big deal without a doubt. So game of the year, really.
Congrats to Mahomes' new baby boy.
Born on Mr. Bronze
Monday, on Monday.
Mr. Bronze Mahomes. So it is Patrick Bronze Levon Mahomes III. So that's a lot of words for a name.
That is quite a lot of words.
I've heard some people don't even have middle names, but this kid has 5 words in his name. So
max characters of 32.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Anyways, maybe they didn't get the memo on that one, but hey, good news is in 21 years, we're going to have a new quarterback, and he's going to be Patrick Mahomes III. So that's the goal, right?
That's all I need. That's all that matters in the end.
Right. All right. Well, Tanner, let's dive into it. We got to talk about the easy money picks of the week because, guys, as you know, each and every week we talk about this, whether it's at the end of the show, beginning of the show, but lately we've been wanting to put out in the forefront for you guys because let's be real. We're trying to make y'all money. And if you've been following along recently, you'd be making money like we are. So, with that said, go ahead and give us the rundown. How did we do last week with the easy money picks? And we'll tell you our picks for this week.
Well, let's break into it.
You know the definition of a baller.
All right, guys. So let me get my magic notebook. Last week, week 12 for the NFL season, week 12. JG actually had a pretty decent week.
I know. He did. Again, hey, he's on a roll these days.
Yeah, so
he did have a rough start.
He's
doing better.
8-8 now.
Doing better.
Even.
Yeah.
He had Detroit plus 9.5. That hit. I feel like that was almost the easiest bet of the week.
Yeah.
Going to play the Giants with that late touchdown in the game, scored that plus 10. So
Yeah.
JG ended up hitting both of his bets in the place.
Yeah.
Mike, you had just the Lions at 9.5, doubling down. That hit, so you're now 10-2. I had I've had bad luck these last 2 weeks because the Bills. I had the Bills on the under, and they moved from the Buffalo to Detroit.
Then you had the Justin Fields situation,
and then Justin Fields gets ruled out 2 days or 1 day, or has the injury designation 1 day after the show, and then gets ruled out on Saturday.
I hope you've learned your lesson, by the way. Whatever you pick this week,
I
hope it's something that's going to change. It's not moving around.
I've gone the JG route, just not pick bad teams. So I'm going the JG route in this.
All
So
right.
Chicago plus 6 did not hit. I feel like Justin Fields was in it, would have hit. Mike White, by the way, went ham against that defense.
I'm surprised.
And then I took a shot. I took a shot just because the Tennessee team in college was struggling. So I went Vandy plus 17. They ended up losing 56-0.
Ooh, that's a scary one.
Tennessee, though, Tennessee as a team like that to go 56-0 without their star quarterback, that's actually kind of impressive.
But honestly, JG and I sit here every week and tell you to stop picking college teams, and it continues to happen. So.
Hey, you know what? And also Saturday actually came out like plus 25 in the end for my college bets.
Okay.
So apparently picking one bet is not a good thing for me.
I see what I do every week. I give you guys one pick, one bet for the week, and I hone in on one pick, and that's the one that I truly believe in. I've only been wrong twice all year.
Yeah.
So otherwise, I've been nailing them, and they've been really easy in my opinion for the most part.
Carlos in here. Carlos, thanks for coming in as always. The Mad New Yorker. He says Jets broke banks and wallets. Well, Justin Fields broke my bank and wallet. So going into play here. Let's. Do you have JG's bet? You said.
Yeah, JG's bet. So he did send us a text here a few minutes ago. He says I haven't looked at this actually. He said he has the Patriots money or Patriots to cover spread. So which I guess we should pull that up now.
So Patriots spread is right now plus 3.5 and plus 4 across the board.
Okay, so Patriots plus if you can get
plus
4, then get the 4 against the Bills, which tells me he thinks there's a chance there could be an upset.
Yeah,
against the Bills,
and it's at New England on a Thursday night. Buffalo with their down streak already going into play, having such a tough time winning ball games lately. It seems,
and we'll know about that one soon because that's tomorrow night. So obviously, and here's the thing: when I look at this game too, and I see Patriots Bills, and like the Patriots are at home in this game, the Patriots, Bill Belichick, and like this is a team that just finds ways to win.
Great defense,
despite letting Tom Brady move along. What are the Patriots doing? They're still winning games. They've done it the last 2 years. They're still winning games. They're still finding ways to win games. And the Bills have been weird lately. They're not the overly dominant team that we've come to know over the previous, the first 7 weeks of the season. Right now, they're in a situation where I feel like they're pretty vulnerable. And I think a confident Patriots team could really shake them up. So
they could.
I don't mind the pick for JG there.
So you can get plus 4 guys at minus 107 is the best bet I see here. That's at points bet currently. Otherwise, minus 110 across the board there. So, and did you have any other picks?
No, just the one this week.
Just the one this week?
Like, yeah.
So JG with Pats plus 4.
So he's on the books. So see if you can get him over 500. JG's 8-8. So if he gets this one right, he'll be over 500 for the year. That'd be good for him.
Right. So what do you got going into play this week?
Well, believe it or not, I'm going to go back to the one that let me down. I'm going back to the one that let me down.
That's always a tough one.
And that's right. I'm talking about the Miami Dolphins. I like the Dolphins plus 4 against the San Francisco 49ers. And I know they are the away team in this situation. It's also a big travel to the other side of the country. I understand all that. But I also feel like people underestimate just the capability of what the Dolphins can do.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, despite the fact the 49ers have had a great defense, they've only allowed 170-something points this year to all teams across the board. Chiefs are the ones that put up 40 on them, over 40 on them. So, that's a huge chunk. So Chiefs are the one team that really put up the huge chunk. Otherwise, that number would look even better. For the 49ers. And if you look at their points discrepancy, this points differential, which is a big stat I care about, they're plus 75 right now, which is just a great number. That's why they're currently ranked 4th right now in betting odds to win the Super Bowl. which I don't believe that's going to happen because I don't think the Super Bowl champion this year comes from the NFC, personally. But with that said, I think that we're ignoring the fact of what the Dolphins are capable of, and that's why I got my boys Tua, Tyreek. They stole your running back, so Jeff Wilson Jr. is going to be over there, of course, doing his thing. So I just think there's too much firepower for the Dolphins. And as good as the 49ers are on defense, I think that you're just going to run into a rough situation with too much talent on the offensive side of the ball of the Dolphins. It's going to be a similar type of outcome for what we saw for that Chiefs 49ers game. And I'm not going to say it's a blowout because that ended up being a blowout, but I like the Dolphins +4 in this. Even if they lose by a field goal, it is what it is. But I like the Dolphins in this one. If they let me down twice, then I'm over it. Then I'm done because they let me down big time. That 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I actually had a lot of money on that game.
Was that Texans
and
too, right, or something like that?
It was the Bears.
Oh, the Bears. That's
when Justin Fields set the quarterback rushing record, 178 yards now in one game. Which of course, I would bet on that game. A big chunk of money to come in on the losing end of that one. But anyways, that's my pick.
So Miami right now +4. The best bets out there right now is at PointsBet as well, -107. You can get that value. Otherwise, it's +4 -110, or FanDuel has +3.5 at -104.
Get the 4.
So I would go. I'll go with that 4 at -107. Then that's the only one you got, right?
Right, because also sometimes I like these even number bets because if it does land on exactly a 4-point differential, it's a push.
Correct.
You get your money back. So basically, at this point, you're betting on the fact the Dolphins don't lose by 5 or more.
Yeah.
So if they lose by 4, well, okay, call it a draw. You get your money back. It's a push. I don't see the Dolphins losing by a touchdown.
No, that's fair.
Truth be told. So that's why I got Dolphins here on this.
All right. So for mine, I'm actually doubling down. I'm going actually Dolphins money line on this one. I believe the Dolphins are the better team going into San Francisco.
Wow.
San Francisco offense, I just feel like it's still too inconsistent. By the way, when Tua's in, they win. So as long as Tua's standing up straight, it's going to be fine. I like the Miami offense.
So you're telling me, Tanner, we have another 2 weeks in a row, a Buffoon double down?
Buffoon double
down bet?
And this time, instead of just being the same money or spread, I'm going money line.
You got the money line.
I'm saying the Dolphins win this.
But that means if you win, then I win. So,
yeah, correct.
So that's crazy. Okay, that's 2 weeks in a row. We basically have a double down bet for the Buffoons. So.
I love the Dolphins offense in this just because they perform at such a high level going to play. I feel like this is a great challenge. I also feel like this team's up for that challenge, and their offense is just too nuts to be able to just be calmed down by this San Francisco defense.
Yeah,
so
I see the Dolphins putting somewhere in the high 20s.
Oh yeah,
that's fair.
I'd say 30 on my side. So
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. My big thing is,
but they should be. I feel like they should be able to win this game.
I don't know that the 49ers offense can keep up. That's my problem. As good as their numbers look on defense, I get it, guys, but they're very beatable. We know from experience. Mahomes put a number on them, and the Dolphins have, top 3 talent offensively on their roster of any team in the league.
And maybe we'll get into this too, but we'll, look at the playoff picture too. The Dolphins can't afford to lose a game like San Francisco to keep up with the Chiefs, to keep up with the Bills going to play for that 1 seed. So if they want a chance to that 1 seed, they gotta win. It's a must win from here on out. So that's what I'm looking at. You can get plus 175 on DraftKings currently. On plus 172 FanDuel, plus 165 PointsBet, 170 on Caesars, and 155 on MGM. So there's a lot of great value spread out there. So if you do have money in one of those accounts, I'd say throw something on it. So going into play. And of course, it is title week for the NCAA. I have to give my bet here. And it is not the K-State over TCU game. It is actually going to be, oops, I hit the wrong button. Hang on. It's going to be UCF over Tulane. UCF. That's right. I picked UCF.
I hate that pick.
I love UCF. UCF has let me down once this year out of 5 times. So,
man, Tulane has been beating really good teams.
But they also got beaten lately too. So I like
that makes it a scary team. It's unpredictable.
Yeah, well, so is UCF. 9-3 versus 9-2. I like UCF here. At the plus 150 mark on PointsBet. So give me UCF as a money line as well for value.
Well-
I think we got quite the matchup NCAA this week. So
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess we'll see how that one unfolds. But I think if Tanner loses again in college bets, then he needs to cut it off with all that college nonsense.
oh, we got bowl season, dude.
But yeah, I know we got bowl season. We're probably gonna see MU versus KU. Can't wait to bet on that one. And it's gonna be good stuff, down the road for us, I guess. The only sad thing is for college football, we only got like a month left of it, really.
That's true.
So and then it starts wrapping up, beginning of the new year. So.
We're legit. Yeah, it's legit about to be bowl season coming into play here. So
Right, very much.
all right, so that's our easy money bets, guys. Let us know
Place
your
'em.
thoughts in the comments below. Love to hear what you like coming into play this weekend. So, all right, guys, let's dig deep here. Let's look at the NFL playoff picture coming into play. Let's pull her up real quick for everybody to see. All right, so we're going to go down the way here. And, Mike, there's some teams that are on the bubble currently, somehow still in the bubble for some of them going to play. But let's look exactly what we got going down for the first 7 spots this year. So, respectively, for the AFC, we have the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Titans, the Ravens, the Bills, the Bengals, and the Jets. The Jets, Jets. On the bubble currently with the Patriots, the Chargers, the Colts, the Jags, the Raiders, the Browns, the Steelers, the Broncos, and the Texans. So obviously, I think we can rule out a few of those teams. But looking at ahead here going into play, the Bills, I think between the Bills and the Dolphins, they're locked for the 5th spot, right? Somewhere on the 5th spot. So those two should be in.
Well, it's either going to be a 2 or a 5
Correct.
for both of these guys.
Correct. So, I mean, that spot's locked up. So that gives us 2 more spots to come into play for this. We have the Bengals at 6, the Jets at 7 currently, and on the trails within the 8 through 11, or 8 through 11 is the Patriots, the Chargers, the Colts, the Jags. Any of those 4 teams you like overtaking the Jets or the Bengals?
Right now, I don't. I think the AFC is more clear cut than the NFC right now. I like what the AFC is working with. I like the Jets right now, especially if they continue to roll with Mike White, because I think that he probably is someone you can trust, rely on more than Zach Wilson as far as efficiently getting the job done offensively. Because the truth is, the Jets defense has done really well this year. They do have good players on offense. Obviously, Garrett Wilson had a big play this past week. And even though they lost Breece Hall a few weeks ago, they're still finding ways offensively put up numbers, and just enough to where they're winning games. They're finding ways to win games. And if you told me, 3 months ago the Jets would be 7-4 right now, I would have said, Jude, you're crazy. And I, you know what I mean? So it's like,
true.
I would have just been like, nah, you're delusional. And, some of you people out there with your fandoms of your teams, you are delusional. But on this one, the Jets, our boy Jude did a great job with hyping his team up, believing in his team. And, I'm glad to see that he's having some success in his fandom at the moment with the Jets, because that's a team I felt like was probably a year or 2 away from being successful, because I still don't necessarily know that Zach Wilson is the answer, but Mike White had some production last year, having some production this year. It's like, okay, screw the draft position, screw worrying about, we picked this guy number 2 overall. Just play the better player at the end of the day, especially when you're 7-4. You don't have time to worry about, developing right now. You got to worry about trying to get to the playoffs. That's what this is all about right now for the Jets. And looking at their team, I like them the most. And the Patriots, as tough as they play, I don't think that they have enough firepower to keep up with the rest of the AFC
to get through that. Yeah.
So I mean, my teams and to make the playoffs in the AFC, it's pretty clear cut to me. And you got Chiefs, Dolphins, Bills, Jets, Titans, and then
Baltimore.
You got the Ravens are 7-4 right now.
Yep.
And Bengals are 7-4 too.
Yep. So let's do this here, right? For the AFC part here, let's break down some schedules coming up here, right? We're going to enter in the last 6 weeks of the season. Let's see exactly who these guys may have coming up into play, and let me know your thoughts actually if it changes for you. So we'll start with the Bengals schedule: Chiefs, Browns. Deshaun's back, so you got to think about that. Chiefs, Browns, Tampa, New England, Buffalo, and Baltimore, all to end the season.
That's hard.
That's a tough schedule for the
I mean,
Bengals.
here's the thing: if you're the Bengals right now, this game against the Chiefs is a must-win.
Mhm.
If you lose this game to the Chiefs, you're now 7-5, and you're rolling into the back part of the season against all those other really good teams. And, the Browns are one of those weird teams, even though they're 4-7, can be sneaky.
Yeah.
They can get you. Nick Chubb is a badass, and Deshaun Watson,
Coming back.
It's hard to say how he's going to do yet, but I can assume he's going to be somewhat productive just based on his natural athletic ability as a quarterback. So I think you got to look into that, and got Bills to worry about, which the Bills are probably going to be trying to ramp it up at the end of the year to prove that they can, stick in this thing and not fall off or go through too much of a rough patch. Yeah, that's a hell of a schedule right there. For
That's
the
a
Bengals.
tough schedule. I mean, they really, the Bengals in instance, they make their own playoff opportunity here going into play. These are games they can't be slacking. These are games they can't get hurt on either.
But here's the thing. So then, who do you alternate with? The Patriots? You think the entire AFC East makes it?
Let's look. Jets, Minnesota, Buffalo, at Minnesota, at Buffalo. They get Detroit, who has been no slack of a losing team right now, but they've been high-powered offense. Jaguars, the Seahawks, and they end on Miami. That's also a pretty tough schedule going to play.
Yeah.
The Colts coming into play. Jeff Saturday and that crew. It's hard to believe.
That team sucks.
Well, they got Dallas. They're at Dallas, at Minnesota. They got the Chargers. They got the Giants, and they finish up on Houston.
They're right now 4-7-1. They're going to end up with 6 wins this year.
Yeah, I believe that too.
What they'll end up with.
The Chargers, who are also in contention, who we had really high hopes for. They have the Raiders this week, Miami next week, Tennessee, Indy, the Rams, and then Denver to finish out the season.
What's amazing to me about the Chargers is that somehow that defense is terrible.
Oh, it's awful.
Like, it doesn't make any sense because they loaded up with talent in free agency. Went and got Khalil Mack, got J.C. Jackson, and you saw some of these guys and have been on this team too for quite a while. You thought, oh, they'll also step up or whatever or improve. It's like, no, like somehow they're regressing despite the additions they made, because it was kind of scary in the offseason thinking about, oh, look at all this added talent they got, and somehow they can't put it together. Meanwhile, teams with lesser big names on their roster are finding ways to be top 10 defenses.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the Chargers. Now, this one's interesting. I want you to remember New England has the tiebreaker because they won both the games against the Jets coming into play. Okay. The New England has Buffalo, Arizona, Vegas, Cincy, Miami, and Buffalo. Now, if they beat Arizona and Vegas and maybe Cincy as well, the Jets would still have to beat somewhere in the middle of the schedule. They have Minnesota, Buffalo, Detroit, Jacksonville, Seattle, Miami. That looks a whole lot scarier than Buffalo, Arizona, Vegas, Cincy, Miami, Buffalo. I kind of rather have the New England schedule with the 2 tiebreakers going into play because I think in the end that gets them into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. And it sounds to me like a lot of these teams that are on the back end of the playoff bubble have mildly difficult schedules.
Mm-hmm.
They're all either playing each other or playing the toughest team in their division at least once. So to me, it's at the end of the day on this one, I think you got to look at what has currently happened to this point and trust who's been productive at this point, who's not been a letdown, or who's not been a failure at this point. I think that's what I got to base my.
I think New England in the end has what it takes to win this one here. One team, just because they are getting their starter back, Deshaun Watson, Cleveland Browns, still in contention for this, Mike. Their schedule coming is Houston, of course, the return, Cincinnati next week, Baltimore after that, New Orleans, Washington, and Pittsburgh. The Browns could sneak their way into a playoff spot if Deshaun comes out being the Deshaun we know.
Yeah, the biggest problem with that is that Amari Cooper is going to play like DeAndre Hopkins. And I don't know that and he can be DeAndre Hopkins in his prime, because that's what Deshaun Watson was working with for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you got Donovan Peoples-Jones, and you're going to be handing the ball off a lot and checking it down to Kareem Hunt. Like, that's going to be your game. And then, scrambling here and there. I assume Watson still has some speed to him. We'll find out this weekend. But I feel like it's going to be a little bit frustrating, I think, because he just was able to work with the team again here, I think a couple weeks ago.
Yep. He's been taking some 1 reps.
But I don't know that offensively, if this team is as talented for the receiving aspect as what he had worked with in the past with the Texans.
No, it's not.
Because back then with the Texans, actually, before Bill O'Brien ruined everything, they had actually quite a bit of talent on that roster, and they were making plays. I mean, they had Brandon Cooks and Hopkins, and they had other guys that were just fast. Obviously, Kush, he's been out of the league now, it seems like, for a little while. The other speedster that would drop everything. Still get open.
Will Fuller.
Yeah, Will Fuller. We haven't heard of him in a while.
He's still a free agent out there too.
Just terrible hands, but he was fast, and every once in a while he'd pop off for a big touchdown.
Well, yeah, for 6 games that he would play in the season. So
yeah, it's like every once in a while he'd just have a big play. But I don't think the Browns have players like that on their roster right now that can make those big impact plays. Amari Cooper is your one reliable option receiving wise. And I just don't know that's enough.
David Njoku being the breakout this season, actually showcasing some of his talents, but Deshaun's not known for passing the tight ends very well.
They're going to have to continue to rely on Nick Chubb offensively to get things done. But I still be curious to see how well Watson performs as we go. So
AFC playoff picture, who's your last 2 spots in? After all the schedules we just looked through, who do you got coming in 6 and 7?
All right, 6 and 7. It's weird to want to say the Chargers are out.
It's weird, isn't it?
It is weird to think about that.
Especially when they still have like Indy and the Rams and Denver for the last 3 games. Oh, in Vegas this week.
Man, that's tough stuff right there. Okay, here's the deal. The Chargers
has hands like feet. I love it.
The Chargers are healthier now again.
Correct.
And yes, Mike Williams got injured last week. I get it. Keenan Allen was back though. And yeah, it's funny. It's like as soon as one of them comes back, then they get injured again. It's just the way the Chargers been for a decade. I think that because they're going to be healthier at this point of the season, we're in the middle point of the season. I think the Chargers are in. I'm putting the Chargers in. I don't know whether they're going to be a 6 or a 7, but I'm putting them in. And I guess my other option, has got to be the bottom guys. What are my options there? I got Chiefs, Chargers. Dolphins, Bills, Jets, Patriots.
Yeah. So then
Patriots are out.
So yeah. So your bottom guy at 7 is either the Jets, the Bengals, the Patriots, or the Browns. At this point,
I have Patriots out.
So Patriots out. Mm-hmm. So then you leave you with the Bengals, the Jets, the Browns, the Colts.
Well, Colts are not making it. Browns are not making it.
So leaves you with Patriots or Bengals, Jets.
Bengals and Jets are in.
Which one?
Out of those 2?
Yeah. Because you already got the Chargers.
Oh, shoot.
So you got to pick one more slot.
Okay. Well, okay. In that case, give me the Jets.
The Jets over the Bengals.
Let's say, because you guys know that old historic notion of Super Bowl hangover, right? Not that the Bengals are going through that at all. No. But there was this old thing that happened for many years over the past couple decades where the Super Bowl loser would go into the next season and basically suck.
Yeah.
That has for some reason been a thing. Obviously the Chiefs didn't suck last year after their loss to the Buccaneers. But we saw that happen for many years. And not that the Bengals are going to suck by any means, but I think that schedule that we talked about there toward these next 5 weeks, that is hellacious.
That's a tough one. Chiefs, Browns, Tampa, New England, Buffalo, and Baltimore.
I think I got to go Jets on this, especially if Mike White can continue to play at a high level. It's a fresh face, he's got a lot to prove. Okay. I think the Bengals are going to run into a whirlwind.
I do like the Jets over the Bengals for the fact that they got Jacksonville and Seattle is beatable and Detroit is very beatable too because you can put up pace with them. So I agree with you. I'd say my final 2 spots actually come down to Chargers and the Patriots on mine. I think those 2 end up making. I think the tiebreaker comes into play the last week of the season between the Patriots and the Jets, and since the Jets lost twice, Patriots get in. So, all right, let's break down the NFC side of things. We got the Eagles, the Vikings, the 49ers at 3, Tampa at 4, Cowboys 5. Then the Giants At 7-4, the Giants at 6, and the Washington Commanders at 7-5. That's the whole NFC East is currently in the playoffs. On the bubble here, we got the Seahawks, the Falcons, the Lions, the Packers, the Panthers, the Cards, the Saints, the Rams, and the Bears coming into play. A little less appetizing on the NFC bubble side of things that I'm seeing here. But Mike, what's your thoughts here first on that first 7 into play?
I think this actually is pretty easy. I do have believe it or not, the entire NFC East in the playoffs. And what's funny is the last time that happened, it was also the NFC East. The last time all 4 teams from a division made the playoffs, it was also the NFC East, and that was about 20 years ago. So obviously now in a 17-game season, things look a little different. But I think that, you have all the NFC East. You have the 49ers. The Seahawks are out. They will be – they've had a nice little run. And Geno Smith has done a really good job. But I don't think they have enough to keep up with everything else going on in the NFC right now. I personally I find some of what they've done this year a little fraudulent, despite the fact Geno's played really well. I just think that there's too many other better teams. Obviously, the NFC South is up in the air still, but I have
Correct.
the Buccaneers winning that.
Bucs come out.
I think you're gonna put Brady in there. I mean, they're 5-6 right now, but they're at the top of their division. I think you got to put Brady in there. He might finish off 8-9-1.
Yeah,
something crazy like that. I mean, they might have a tie around here. Who knows? But or 8-8-1, I guess would it be, or 8-9? Who knows? But I think they still, because that division is so weak, that they can get in with a losing record, especially in a 7-team format. And then obviously NFC North, easy pick. Lions are out. Packers are out. Vikings are the clear-cut winner on that one. So for me, it's pretty easy. The entire NFC East, 49ers, Vikings, Bucks.
Okay. So let's do the same thing. Let's break down some schedules just to see, make sure we're all kind of thinking the same thing going into play. Just finishing up, grabbing the last of this here. So let's start with our 2 bottom guys, the Giants and the Commanders. Okay. The Giants come into play, have Washington twice. So Washington, Philly, Washington, Minnesota, Indy, Philadelphia. So they got Washington twice, Philadelphia twice, Minnesota once, and Indy on New Year's Day. Does that change anything for you at the moment?
Well, I have them both in anyway, right?
Yeah.
Giants and Commanders.
So Washington has Giants twice, of course. Actually, back-to-back games for them because they have a bye week after this week, the final bye week. So they have the Giants, San Francisco, Cleveland, and Dallas to end the season. Going into play. So all those guys currently, sure, I'm okay with. I guess right now looking at it.
I guess to me, honestly, the only schedule I'd be curious to see more about would be the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting at 6-5, even though I don't think they're going to make it in. And I do have them battling for that 7th spot with the Commanders. I think the Giants are in the playoffs.
Okay. Despite their schedule.
Commanders, the problem with the Commanders is inconsistency. Quarterback, I feel like they're indecisive right now with what's going on. And I don't know if structurally they're a strong team. They will be a quick in and out team in the playoffs. Once they get there,
Heineke go back in. Yeah. So let's just say Washington finishes out, split with Washington. Okay. And then doesn't beat Philly. So we're now looking at 1-1, 1-2. And then do they beat Minnesota? Does the Giants beat Minnesota?
No.
In Minnesota? Okay.
No.
So they're 1-3, 2-3 with Indy, and now you got Philly. So they could be finishing 2-4 possibly going in the last 5 or last 6.
As much as Philly looks good sitting there at 10-1,
You think they split?
I think Philly is on a close verge of a collapse.
Okay. So now you're thinking it's more 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3-3 situation.
Possibly.
Okay.
3-3. Which that's good enough, I think, to make the playoffs.
Okay. Giants. So assuming the same thing, 1-1 for Washington, Does Washington beat San Francisco
They can.
at San Francisco?
They're beatable.
So, so if
I-
you're going to put a record on it,
I'm going to say they don't beat
Okay.
San Francisco.
so 1-2, Cleveland,
Yeah, I mean
2-2.
Cleveland's beatable. I mean, we haven't seen Deshaun Watson yet, but
right, and Dallas at the end.
Dallas is also a very beatable team.
Okay, so
Those are all a bunch of 50-50 games.
so these guys could finish out possibly 3-2 or 2-3 their last 5. And then you said Seahawks. Seahawks coming to play have Rams, Carolina, San Francisco, the Chiefs, Jets, and Rams again. So the Rams, I feel like Seahawks beat the Rams twice. I don't feel like the Rams do that.
Having 2 Rams in there is going to be
2.
helpful.
Carolina, I think they be competitive with, but I think in the end the Seahawks take out Carolina.
They should.
So that's 3 wins. San Francisco. Let's look back at the previous matchup against San Francisco. They lost 27-7 in week 2.
Truthfully, 49ers are a lot better team than the Seahawks.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 1. The Chiefs lost at Arrowhead. I think
Geno Smith's not going to win an Arrowhead.
3-2, and the Jets in Seattle.
That's a split game. That's a tough call.
So this could be a 4-2 team, a 3-3 team, as well in this.
So honestly, this might all come down to tiebreakers at the end of the day.
So there's one team I do want to throw in that is on the bubble that you didn't talk about, but based off their schedule, they actually have an opportunity to sneak into that 7 spot. Very possible. Let me check one other real quick. Yeah, I like this team a lot better. Just for the running aspect of things, even though it's such a bad team currently, they could sneak in the 7 spot if things drop their way. That is the Carolina Panthers. They got Seattle, they got Pittsburgh, Detroit, Tampa, and New Orleans, all to finish the season. All very beatable that they've already taken upon. New Orleans, for sure. They already beat Tampa once. I don't think they beat them again, but that'd be a really close game there, I still think. Detroit, I think they win. Pittsburgh, I think they can win. And then Seattle, I think they can pull it out, possibly.
I don't have the Panthers beating Detroit.
No?
I think their quarterback situation right now is a mess.
I think it's a running game. I think Deontay Foreman runs through them.
Sure, but he can only do so much. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're playing the Lions and you know they're going to put up points because that's what the Lions do this year, they have a shitty-ass defense but a really good offense. You're not going to be able to keep up.
So the Lions, Jacksonville, Minnesota, Jets, Carolina, Chicago, and Green Bay to finish their season.
Yeah, the problem is obviously the defense. The
finishing
defense is not good at all. It's horrible. So
okay, so I guess who's your 6-7? Who's your 6-7 based off the schedules we just saw?
yeah, 6-7.
So currently
not in any order. I'm just going.
Yeah, currently standing
two teams to make
Giants and Washington.
I think. So you've almost convinced me on the Seahawks part.
Yeah, based off that schedule.
I think based off the schedule right there with the Seahawks, I could see the Commanders being out while the Seahawks get in. So that would be my one switch.
So you got what? Giants and Seahawks?
Well, I would swap out. Originally, I said the entire NFC East.
Yep.
I think based on the schedule you just said, I think the Seahawks can get in, and the Commanders are out.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking at right now.
So I'm actually going a weirder way than you. I'm going Commanders in, Giants out, Seahawks in. Just based off that schedule I'm seeing, because I think I'd much rather face a Giants team twice, San Francisco, Cleveland, and Dallas, than I would Washington twice, Philadelphia twice, Minnesota once, and Indy once in the last 6. So I'd much rather have that bye week in the middle and go about that way. So I'd go Washington and Seahawks, and the Giants end up falling out in the end.
Yeah, I could see that too, mainly because the Giants, I've never believed in them anyway this year. They're sitting at 7-4, but
great season.
I mean,
great first season
they've had a nice little run, I suppose. I think most of these teams we're talking about, though, are going to be quick in and out playoff teams.
Yeah.
It's not going to be anything that's sustainable, or they're going to get on a hot streak and start running. The one team that could would be the Buccaneers, just because of you know what, just because that's possible, right?
Yeah, right.
But otherwise, no. I think all the teams we've been talking about here in the bottom are kind of a waste of time because when it comes to the Super Bowl, which is what we care about the most, I think you got
When it comes to
four
playoffs,
teams.
it doesn't matter what happens.
You've got 4 teams in the NFC that matter. And all it is Eagles, Cowboys, 49ers, and Vikings. That's it. All these other teams it's like watching the NBA in regular season. It's a big waste of time, and they're not going to matter when it comes time to postseason play. Those 4 teams I just named are legitimate teams that could represent the NFC.
You said the right time for fire. I mean, that could happen to play. Rob Logan here says, "Did you watch that last Eagles game? Hurts is on fire." Rob,
Hurts has been on fire all year, though.
Yeah,
I mean that's nothing new by any means. I think that there's going to be a little bit of a loose lug nut as time goes here towards the back end of the season. I think that we're starting to see some signs as time's gone on. I know we're talking about a 10-1 team. It's hard to find negative in 10-1 team, but we're starting to see some signs of vulnerability with the Eagles, and that's why I believe that I think towards this back end we'll see them decrease a little bit in some of the amazing plays we've seen as time's gone on.
So the only final question I have for you, I'm not going to get in the AFC picture or playoff picture for the 1 seed because I feel like the Chiefs should have that. We know it's between Chiefs, Bills, and Dolphins essentially for that one. NFC 1 seed. Do the Eagles hold out going into play? Because the Eagles right now have the Titans, the Giants, the Bears, Dallas, New Orleans, and the Giants to end. Which I don't mind that. I think they can easily win out on that schedule. And the Vikings have the Jets, Detroit, Indy, the Giants, Green Bay, and Chicago, which looks a whole damn easier than what the Eagles have.
I like the Eagles 14-3 to finish off the year total. So I think that's their end of season record. And I think that's good enough to be the 1 seed.
Okay. Sprite Fan 22, thanks for coming in there on Twitch. Appreciate you. He had asked, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
Well, I mean, you came to the right show for that. So, I mean, okay. Honestly, I think that here's my envision right now, because everyone knows about the podcast with Travis and Jason.
Yes,
and everyone and they're both likable guys. Of course, I think we've always liked Jason Kelsey as a player, and as a dude. I think he's cool, and of course, we love Travis Kelsey. There's no reason not to.
Correct.
And they have this podcast that they began this year. His mom, which she bought many years ago, has a split jersey, Eagles and Chiefs, that says Kelsey on the back, of course. That's sewn together right down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
A split Chiefs and Eagles jersey. And I just have this vision in my head of all the camera shots throughout the game of showing their parents, of Travis and Jason Kelsey's parents. And this is going to be a thing where we're just going to be the Kelsey showdown, and they're going to be constantly highlighting the Kelseys all games. It's going to be the battle of the brothers, and I really truly believe it'll be Chiefs and Eagles at the end of this. The winner, hard to say. I obviously, as a Chiefs fan, how can I sit here and try to make an unbiased opinion?
Well, I can tell you right now, Jordan Davis is coming back. He's free to practice for that defense as a defensive tackle for the Eagles, which the Eagles have missed him since he's been on IR. So that defense is not a defense to mess around with.
No, it's no joke at all. I mean, and if you remember, obviously when the Chiefs played the 49ers a couple of years ago in the Super Bowl, they were a top-notch defense that year too.
Yeah.
I mean, any defense you face in the Super Bowl is going to be battle-tested. They're going to be a good quality defense. Even the Chiefs, what we see in these years is they kind of have a ramp-up period. It seems like we get to this point of the season that we're currently in right now, and from this point on, they start to ramp up, and you start to see, now aren't we seeing more pressure now from the Chiefs?
Oh, yeah.
Than before?
The
Chiefs are getting more pressure. We're starting to see, that's the thing. That's the key, is we're starting to see more turnovers, more pressure. And that's what the Chiefs in 2019 did at that point. Because the beginning of that year, if you remember in 2019, it was ugly.
It was bad.
We were worried right away going, oh gosh, here we go again. It's Bob Sutton all over again. And no, it wasn't. It was never Bob Sutton all over again. That's a whole different spectrum. But Steve Spagnuolo, his historic thing is kind of a ramp up. It's kind of a get things figured out, get to the midpoint of the year, and then the back half of the year, the defense tends to explode. And we saw this with the Giants, for many years with Eli Manning. And what would happen is towards that back half of the season and then the end of the playoffs, of course, the pressure was just insane. And his play calling was great. as far as the way he would dial up different blitzes and different looks across the line. It was just amazing. And I see the Chiefs do that with Spagnuolo now every year he's been here with the team. And I'm a big fan of Spagnuolo. I think he calls the game the way I would call the game. So I want to play this pussyfoot Bob Sutton defense.
Prevent.
And all that other crap. I cannot stand that crap at all. I hate it. So I really do think Spagnuolo is a great defensive coordinator. But anyways, I'm rambling. But my point is, I think that we're seeing Chiefs on a great trajectory right now. Patrick Mahomes is the MVP. He's also having his most efficient season of all time so far at the NFL level, with a group of receivers from time to time that are injured. We're seeing Hardman out. Juju's missed some time. Marquez Waddle-Scantling's been kind of just like an airhead at times or whatever. It doesn't really matter who you put out there. He's going to be productive and efficient. But we're seeing this progression right now. And I think that that's the key. On the Eagles side, I mentioned a few minutes ago, I see just some lug nuts coming loose right now. And I don't mean that means that they're going to suddenly just start tanking and start losing 4 games in a row. All I mean by that is that they're sitting at 10-1, which looks really pretty. I don't think that they're as good as the record shows at this moment. I think they're a really good team. I think they are a Super Bowl quality team, but they're also very beatable. I think when you look at teams like the Lions and you come that close, or just this past game, just barely pulling it out, was it 17-16?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. When you deserved to lose. Was it the Colts in that game? There was a game here.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
And it was like the stuff like that. Like they deserved to lose that game.
Yeah,
they ended up coming back at the very end. And yes, the Chiefs lost to the Colts in week 3. Get it. But that's one of those games where, like, yeah, they probably deserve to lose that game. I just think that they're showing signs of weakness that when it comes time for the playoffs, when it comes time for the Super Bowl, it's going to be potentially opened up. You're going to be able to see and attack those signs of weakness, because the first few weeks of the season, I was like, man, this team doesn't have any flaws. We're starting to see some flaws.
We're starting to see it now.
So that's what I'm talking about towards vulnerability of the team, is that once you start seeing some flaws here and there, you can start to game plan around those things a little bit more as an opposing team. And so I think that once we get to the Super Bowl and we see Travis versus Jason Kelce, Andy Reid's going to come to battle against his former team that fired him. And, the Eagles are going to come to battle too, because that's a damn good team.
That'd actually be a really fun matchup to have for that Super Bowl. That'd be really fun.
That's what I truly envision this year, is Eagles and Chiefs. And I've thought about it a few times over the course of the season. And I think it just makes sense storyline wise. The NFL cares a lot about storylines. Matt Stafford last year had finally his big season that everyone was rooting for him to finally go to the playoffs and win a playoff game and win a Super Bowl with a brand new team that really cares about you. And, once, all this kind of stuff after being with the Lions for a decade. And then on the other side, you had, hey, Joe Burrow now can be one of the up and coming faces of the NFL. Look, he just beat Mahomes twice. And, now he's got these awesome weapons, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And, I just think that was kind of their storyline, was the quarterback situation with Burrow and Matt Stafford, where I feel like in this situation, the Eagles Chiefs, it makes sense to me. Like when I think about, like, let's say Chiefs Cowboys, like,
kind of boring.
What's the storyline other than Dak Prescott doing pregame warmups?
A pretty good defense against a great offense is what it is.
Micah Parsons, defensive player of the year. Is that the storyline, I guess, going into it? Because I don't know. Because I feel like it's just going to be weird if that's the case. The Vikings situation doesn't make any sense to me.
They'd be rolling back to the 1969 matchup.
Yeah, I guess they could use that
rematch
as their
Kirk
thing.
Cousins is the new Johnny Unitas.
That's Johnny Unitas.
Frank Tarkenton. God. I want to say, you said Colts earlier. That's on my mind.
Truth be told, Frank Tarkenton is probably faster at this age than Kirk Cousins is at this age.
Probably is right now.
But yeah, anyways, guys, it just makes sense to me. So that's it's a long-winded answer to that question. So.
All right. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, speaking about flaws coming into play, we got that Chiefs-Bengals matchup this Sunday. A matchup I've been looking forward to, not only because it's on my birthday, but it's also a rematch coming into play that I've been looking forward to. I've had this game circled. I was not happy about losing to the Bengals twice, especially losing to Joey B and having to hear all the hype around him when we know that Chiefs are the better team going into play. This isn't Cincinnati. One thing we took away from Sunday's Rams victory was the inefficiency to execute in the red zone that Patrick Mahomes took away. That should have been at least 2 or 3 more touchdowns. Instead, we kicked field goals because we couldn't execute in the red zone. Are you worried about this going into play with the Bengals matchup?
No, I mean, look, you can't take one game and assume it's the truth. They were going against also the Rams team, which was second in the NFL in defensive red zone touchdowns allowed. So, I mean, you're already facing a defense, which, even though they're 3-8 and they've had a terrible year, that offense is dog shit. Defensively, they still have Aaron Donald, still have some fast players on that side of the ball, and they are a top 5 red zone defense, and they showed it. They made plays when it mattered, and especially against the run. Pacheco only averaged around 3 yards per carry, and they tried to punch it in the red zone many times. Didn't work. Nothing to be concerned about whatsoever. This is a thing where every once in a while you're going to have an off day, or you're just not going to dial up exactly the right play call. The Chiefs, we know what they're capable of, and that's at the end of the day what we need to focus on is that, yeah, they can get down there and go 5 for 5 at some day, but they're not always going to do that. That's kind of just regression back to the mean over the course of time. I think my main issue coming into this game with the Bengals after losing twice last year was we saw the Bengals against the Titans last year in the playoffs in the AFC divisional round. Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times in that game.
9 times.
And they still ended up getting a win in overtime in that game. I think it was overtime in that game.
Yeah, it was.
And the Chiefs then the next week went out there. Got no pressure on Joe Burrow all game long. It was pathetic trying to watch that happen. And that's when we knew we needed to get a pass rusher. That was our main and most important thing going into the offseason was fixing the pass rush somehow. And Chris Jones is having an amazing season. He can't do it all on his own, though.
Correct.
George Karlaftis did get his first full sack last week.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping that can be a thing of signs to come, hopefully, to get him going a little bit more as time goes on across this year. But honestly, we need to have Frank Clark step up.
And he mentioned that. He mentioned that too in one of his interviews this week. He was like, "Yeah, we've been getting pressure, but I'm not getting those sacks. I'm not getting those numbers I should be getting." So he's acknowledging it. So he's aware, like, I got to do so. I got to do better. I got to figure it out. So
they got to keep moving guys around. Kalen Saunders has done a good job, of course.
Saunders.
But what we saw here recently, Mike Dana had 2
Coming
sacks.
alive.
And that guy's kind of found an interesting role in replacing what Tershawn Wharton was doing on the interior rush-wise. So Tershawn Wharton was used as specifically a pass rushing D tackle on the inside, 3 technique. And Mike Dana, who's always been a D end on this team and played a lot of snaps last year, moved more inside here in the last couple of weeks, and he's actually dominating against guards. It's like he's found his niche right now in this defense, and that is awesome to see because he's never been a pass rush guy. He's been a guy you just hope can set the edge in a way and, slow down the run here and there. You're not going to rely on him to go out and get you sacks. But he went out there and got a couple sacks recently. And it's like, okay, we now have that. We have Kalen Saunders coming alive. Chris Jones actually has made an impact when he's moved outside even.
Yes,
he played
he has.
D-end. So that project of making him a full-time D-end did not work. But when you rotate him outside every once in a while, you can make it happen.
Pressure. Yeah.
You can make it happen. So I think going into this game, that's what we need to see. We need to see the Chiefs get pressure on Joe Burrow and dial up the correct timed blitzes. L'Jarius Sneed is good to go for this game after the concussion scare from last week. I think that's the main thing we're going to have to watch for in this is just seeing how the Chiefs can find a way to create pressure against the Bengals. Because as we just talked about, guys, if the Bengals lose this game, they might miss the playoffs. This is their biggest game of the year by far because if they win, they're probably in. If they lose, there's a chance they miss the playoffs because of the schedule, because of what we just talked about a few minutes ago.
Just talked about.
They have to win this game. If the Chiefs can knock the Bengals out, that takes care of one more problem that has been a kryptonite to the Chiefs here this past year. So that's why this is a huge game, guys. And I'm glad it's at 3:00 and not a primetime game. I'm getting tired of primetime games. You know, when I was younger, I loved that stuff. Like I was like,
Stay up
it's like,
late.
oh, we
dude.
only have 2 primetime games this year. You know, all the other games are noon kickoffs, and I hated that. But now it's like we're the best AM team, you know, over the past 5 years in the NFL, and it's like half of our damn games are late as hell. I'm like, I'm getting too old for this crap.
So we're looking at the tail of the tape here, just a little info going into play between these two teams based off of NFL.com. You have the Chiefs first in offense, Chiefs first in passing, 11th in defense, and 20th in rushing, versus the Bengals, that's 8th in offense, 4th in passing, 10th in defense, just a smidge above us, and 27th in rushing. And there is talks Joe Mixon should be back this week for that Bengals team. Jamar Chase, I believe, is getting ready to be active as well against this Chiefs team in the play. So they get a couple good weapons back. The defense is starting to pick up a little bit there. We saw against the Titans too, of them trying just making plays and getting at it. So, look, I'd be lying if I said I'm not worried about this game. This is a big game. This is a way to, like Mike said, kick a team out of the playoffs, kick a team out of the contention going into play. And this is also on my birthday, so I expect a win against Joey B in Cincinnati, or else I'm gonna have to delete some Facebook groups that I'm part of that I chat about, because there's a big old Cincy fan and he knows who he is.
Oh yeah,
I don't want to know about it.
a big old Cincy fan, huh?
Yeah, he went to Nashville for the game. He traveled down to Nashville for that
We're
game.
talking about Chris.
No, it's a different guy. You don't know.
Which there's like 1,000 Chris's in the world. So.
Oh yeah, that one Chris guy. No, it's Tommy.
Yeah,
if you don't know.
No, I don't think I know that one.
Yeah, he's been talking. I've been getting a lot of messages talking crap. So.
Hey, truth be told, Bengals fans deserve their opportunity to talk crap.
Oh, they do, big time.
They deserve it. Yeah.
The Bungles to the Bengals now.
Well, no, I mean against the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah,
They beat us twice last year.
I know. That's why I can't talk much.
Mahomes had his worst half of football he's ever played in his
it still haunts
life,
him.
probably.
He still talks about it. It haunts him.
Well, he talked about it recently this week about how he lost basically his mechanics and fundamentals that second half, and he said he's rewatched that and he saw himself lose sight of all those the typical just fundamentals of football and losing sight of that, and that's what happened. Honestly, he crumbled in that game.
Yeah.
And it's the reason why we can't call him the Grim Reaper anymore, because we went out there the Bills game and won the game, and 13-second comeback and to go to overtime and all that kind of good stuff, and we're all over here thinking like, oh man, this is going to be a hell of a freaking story of like the Grim Reaper, the comeback, and they're going to beat the Bengals and they're going to go beat the Rams in the Super Bowl, and then the Grim Reaper is forever his nickname.
Yeah,
we can't do that now. Like the fun, it's lost its luster.
It ruined it.
We can no longer call Patrick Mahomes the Grim Reaper. It's as fun as it was for a week to lose in the way he lost, because he did lose us that game. And it's not often that Mahomes loses us a game, but he truly did lose us.
He lost us
that Bengals game.
So if you're looking at it here, the weather's gonna be about 47 and sunny, partly cloudy. Looks like actually, which is perfect for that kind of football weather. The line's currently at -2, Chiefs favor, and the over/under is 52.5. So they're looking at a pretty decent scoring game, which I believe we will have that. So as well, I mean, any other final thoughts on this Chiefs Bengals matchup?
No, I'm just excited for it, honestly.
Yeah,
I know we got a big weekend coming up. I'm excited to go watch K-State versus TCU. Chiefs game obviously Sunday. I'll be if you guys, anyone out there listening is a local, come join the bullpen. Overland Park, 135th and like Antioch area, somewhere around there. I'll be hanging out there for the game. It's where
it's not Antioch, it's Quivira.
Quivira. It's like between there somewhere.
Yeah, it's Quivira and Neiman or whatever. So
Neiman, Schweitzer, or whatever.
Schweitzer. Yeah.
One of those deals over there. Yeah, I'll be over there at that place hanging out, watching the game. It's a small little cool. They got good food, good place. So that's my plan for that spot anyway.
All right. I love it. I'll be here because I got to go from a dance recital to here to watch the game. So it'll be fun.
This is how Tanner tries to convince me to have a kid one day as a dance recital and staying home. And then I'm just like, you know what? I kind of like my freedom. So.
Welcome to parenthood. All right. What do we got left? What's our other topics? I forgot.
Well, you wanted to talk about college playoffs.
Oh yeah, let's talk a little about college
we got to
playoffs.
dive in for a few minutes, guys out there listening. College football playoffs coming right up. We saw some maneuvering a little bit here. Who do we have now in the top 4? Because I think USC at this point
They're in.
deserves to be over Ohio State.
Yep. So right now your top 4 is Georgia, Michigan. Michigan with that huge win last week against Ohio State in Ohio
And
State.
it was huge.
That was huge. Yeah, that was a great big blowout too. Georgia, Michigan 1 and 2. TCU, undefeated TCU at 3, and USC at 11-1 at 4.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
When K-State beats TCU this weekend, does TCU get knocked out of the playoffs?
Depends on the USC matchup. Depends if Utah beats. Is it Utah, right?
But so then who would slide back? Who would slide in? Because you then moved TCU down to what,
Utah.
6?
So you would move. So let's say Utah loses to USC. So USC wins. They move it up to 3. Ohio State will move to 4. I think TCU has to win to be able to stay in. If USC loses and TCU loses, then I still believe that you bring Ohio State back in and you put TCU at 4. And so you are going to have possibly a Michigan-Ohio State matchup again. But I believe that a Big 12 team, 1-loss Big 12 team, should be in over a 2-loss SEC team or a 2-loss Pac-12 team.
Yeah, I get that.
So
And it makes sense. I would probably go that route on that one. So I like that.
yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to. I feel like it'd be hard to drop a TCU team facing a ranked number 10 K-State team down 2 spots out of the playoffs, just because of that one loss.
It'd be concerning
But-
because here's my thing. It's
Yeah.
for the Big 12 championship.
Correct.
If you don't win your own conference, you probably shouldn't win the whole national championship. Like I don't like the idea of you not winning your conference and then somehow finding a way to sneak into the national championship. Like
So do you believe that like the top 4 should all be conference winners?
pretty much.
Because then you're looking at possibly a 10-2 Clemson team getting in at the 3 spot. You're looking at who else would it be? Notre Dame, I guess, getting in because they don't have a conference. Or UCF.
No, Notre Dame doesn't
UCF
count.
at 9-3, a Tulane team at 10-2.
Notre Dame doesn't count.
Okay. Because that's really what you're looking at. If you're believing conference winners being in the top 4 for the playoffs, then you're looking at a Clemson 10-2 and then a Tulane team that's 10-2.
All right. Truth be told, I'm probably off base on that. I think in a perfect world, that's how it should work. But the problem is the conferences are lopsided. You got some that are super top heavy elite talent and others that are not to that
so they're
level.
bringing in the 18 playoff range, right? This is either coming in 2024 or as late as 2027 is the deal. So it's going to be implemented at some point during that time because they haven't for sure said which day, but they gave it that range initially. So we're going to see an 18 playoff eventually come into play. But so before we get on, because I do actually I think I have a great solution for that in as well that would help. But looking at here, I just look at the matchups for the title games this week. So Friday we have Utah and USC. Number 11 Utah 9-3, USC 11-1. USC is currently favored at -2.5, and over under at 68 in Las Vegas. So it's of course a neutral stadium.
Those games we saw USC versus Cal, or was it Cal? Not Cal. It was we saw USC against who was it last
USC
week?
Notre Dame last week.
And that's final score ended up being somewhere close to 100.
Yeah,
on the total.
Yeah. So last time USC and Utah played, it was 6 weeks ago. Utah won 43-42 in this matchup. So it is a very winnable game for Utah, who doesn't really have a chance to get in. But
Which didn't Tulane beat them?
Who, USC?
Utah.
Tulane did not beat.
They did not
play Utah.
I must have imagined that then.
Oregon State won. Florida won in week 1. Then UCLA won and Oregon won. Those are the only wins against Utah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and then you got a USC team Lord have mercy, if I can do this right. That has, there it is. Utah is the only team to beat them. So,
Well, okay. We're all talking about who's going to play Georgia, right? I mean, isn't that
not
what this is
necessarily.
coming down
I
to?
guess. I guess it'd be between USC. If you're looking at it, you'd be looking at USC, TCU, Ohio State.
Well, Georgia's quarterback's like 25 years old. So, I mean, they're cheating right there as it is. I mean, you got what's funny is that he actually reminds me a lot of Drew Brees. If you watch the way he plays, he actually reminds me a lot of Drew Brees.
I've watched him, but I've never really made that comparison. But you're not the first person to say that to me. That they have, like, he has a reflection of how Drew Brees plays.
Yeah, he's very, very similar.
That's
very similar.
So I guess looking at it here, I don't know. Like I looking at the matchups here, I think Utah has a really good chance of beating USC, which would take USC out, bring Ohio State back in. K-State, TCU, another matchup that they played into overtime last time they played, and of course TCU ended up winning out. But that's another great matchup as well. But K-State was also banged up. I think that's when Martinez got hurt as well a little bit. And
they found their role right now with Will Howard at K-State.
Correct. So that's a great matchup there. That's gonna be an exciting game. 11 a.m. game, by the way. For that one, TCU -2.5 over under 62 in Arlington. And I think that's the only downfall is it's in Arlington versus like Oklahoma or something. So like a more neutral venue than Arlington.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true, but I feel like in this situation, I think there's a lot of excited K-State fans. I think they're going to travel decently for this game. So to me, I just look at this right now, and I think that K-State, the way that they play right now, they're very opportunistic defensively.
Yeah,
they do a really good job making plays when it matters. And then Deuce Vaughn in the run game is just incredible. And so to me, if you can play fundamentally sound defense and you can get the running game going with Deuce Vaughn, then you're probably not going to lose because Will Howard has found a way to make that passing game alive. Malik Knowles is a receiver who, coming into this season, I go, he's going to be undrafted. He's never going to go anywhere or be an NFL player. The more I've watched him now, I'm like, I could see him somehow finding some kind of little role somewhere with a team, and maybe he's still not going to be drafted. But just I'm starting to see like he's helping make some of these other receivers better. Something that as a passing quarterback, Adrian Martinez couldn't do that. Martinez was a really good runner.
Yeah,
he really is a great runner. Passing wise, he's not consistent enough though.
We saw him in Nebraska, what he was like too. So
sure, but here's the thing: is like Martinez has been better with K-State.
Yep.
in his limited time, but Will Howard as a sophomore is like freaking like just making plays. I mean, his passes are on point. So
I'm just gonna say like Dugan, however you want to say his name, has been pretty spectacular this year. Sure. Leading that team. So you got games. They've been battle tested too in close games, right? If you look at it here, Oklahoma State was a great matchup when they were healthy. Granted, they were not anywhere remotely close to what they were then. But
yeah, I went to that K-State Oklahoma State game, and that was
that was when it all fell apart. For
that
Oklahoma
was quite
State.
a thing right there.
That was bad. But the Oklahoma State game, Texas, even though it wasn't really much of a game, but keeping it such a low score and being able to play the defense against Texas, containing BJ, I thought was a huge uplift for that TCU team defense. Baylor, that was actually a really great game to watch, and just being able to come back and execute on the way down under pressure, and then having the blowout win last week against Iowa State, which is exactly what you need before this title game. Because you can't go into a game winning 29-28 or even 34-24 going into a title game. It's just going to be overwhelming and exhausting going to a top 10 team like K-State. So, but I don't know. I think between the title games going to play, I like the Utah USC, Kent State TCU. I think those are going to be the two games you really got to watch this weekend. What another game I really thought I was hoping it'd be more of a competitive game, but the slip up as of late for the LSU team that has been such a high-powered offense and has really stepped up this year. They had that slip up a couple weeks ago, put them at 9-3, takes this Georgia game completely into a one-sided matchup. Unfortunately, it could have been such a great game. So, but I think you and I are on the same page. it all really depends on this USC game for TCU. If TCU is going to make it or not, it depends on this USC game. If USC wins, TCU loses, TCU's gone. If TCU loses, USC loses, I think TCU ends up staying. So,
which also just want to make a shout out to Texas Tech for beating OU last week.
yeah,
that was
some money.
Yeah, that was an overtime game.
Appreciate that.
And I was glad to see OU get beat by TT.
I appreciate that. So I do want to throw out my my idea, and I'll run it by you real quick, of what I think this NCAA football should have been at by now. Is similar to what March Madness is, a tournament style, but bring it down to 32 teams. Okay, all your conference winners get in, and then you're looking at another, what do I want to say, like 8 teams that are ranked normally, that have a great season, be able to sneak in. Kind of a strength of schedule deal going into play too.
So my only question was how many games that would eliminate on the regular season.
So you would have to eliminate the title games. All the conference title games go away because it's pointless on the title games anymore.
So there's no more banners for winning Big 12.
Well, there
wouldn't be.
Well, there would be that. I guess the league
title. Or you're saying
like basketball,
best record,
like
just gets the Big 12 title.
Yeah, best record. Like your overall first place person is that conference winner. Just like it is basketball.
But so then, once that part's figured out, which would still have to be shortened.
Correct. So you would have to eliminate a dumb game the first two games of the season.
Sure. So eliminate those.
The title game, you're already eliminating bowl games, so that's that's already 2 on the back end.
So you're saying get rid of bowl games altogether?
Yeah. No bowl games. This is I
think that's where people would be upset.
It's a total tournament.
No, because here's the deal. Tournaments, if you're looking at a bracket, we're looking at 1 versus a 15 on the basketball, right? So when it comes to college football, you're looking at Georgia playing against some little turd down here. You know it's going to be a cakewalk. Yes.
Let's be real.
No one wants to see
that. There's always upsets. There's always stuff that happens. This is what the beauty of the college basketball is. That could be part of football.
That's the part that's too much for me.
But that's why you
32 teams.
That's why you go 32 teams
to play 5 weeks. I guess was what that would 4 or 5 actually. Yeah, 4 or 5.
So you have the whole month of basically end of November to the end of December, and then the final championship game falls on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. So,
when it comes to football, no one wants to see that. No one wants.
I think it'd be such a huge moneymaker
over bowl games.
Because
bowl games are evenly matched teams facing off most of the time, compared to what we're going to see in this situation where
I really think you're going to see
not going to be pretty
step up, and like they're not playing like it'd be every week. It wouldn't be like basketball where they play Thursday, they play a Saturday. It'd be literally every week you play something through November to like the end of November, like we normally start, to December, the whole month in December.
All right, you can talk to me about 16 teams.
I just think
32
would be blast. Seeing some of
32
these
is not going to work.
It also helped the smaller schools get a little bit more money too, be able to afford some of those NIL deals in the play too. I'm just saying overall, I think it'd be workout for college football.
You know how boring that first week would be?
Oh, I don't think it'd be boring at all.
The first week of the tournament.
Yeah, sure. You're
one. How boring that would be.
You're 1 in 15.
A bunch of blowouts.
You're 2, but then you get your 3 and your 4s and your 5s.
You get that in the bowl games, Tanner. No, that's what those are there for.
You make it.
I don't need to see.
I want to see a
Georgia go kill somebody.
Go into the Sweet 16. I want to see a 10 seed go into the Elite 8.
That's not fun in football.
I think it'd be fun.
Okay,
a lot of these
guys. You had that with Boise State back when Kellen Moore was there.
Correct.
That was your darling, team that this shouldn't be there.
Go upset Alabama.
And they were fun to watch for that season, right?
So you don't want it every season.
You don't want fun every season. Boise State was a special case.
You don't want fun every season.
Because those don't always exist every season. Boise State was a special case.
They just don't get
actually did have talent.
They don't get the opportunity to show it. So,
oh my gosh, the opportunity, Tanner. They all play games.
Nope.
You want the opportunity, you go blow out your opponent. And you'll get their chance.
Well, yeah. Then
that's why I do think Utah's there every year.
Then you eliminate
Utah's a good football school.
Lanes. You eliminate the UCS from having to be on the outside in every single year.
They could get in, win more games.
UCF went undefeated. They still couldn't get in. What do you want from them?
Why do you think they went undefeated?
Strength of schedule. What else are they supposed to do? Play the
No
teams
one
they're
wants
not
to
scheduled?
see UCF face Georgia.
Nobody wants to play UCF.
Nobody wants to watch UCF versus
I would
Georgia.
love to see UCF for Georgia. That
No,
year.
no one wants to see
I
58
want
to
to see
3.
UCF in Alabama.
No,
Give
no
it to
one
me.
wants to see that crap.
Give it to me. So that's my theory, guys. I think it'd be a tournament format would be huge for college football in the money sense and also in the fandom sense. I think you would like it after a year. Be like, hey, this might be okay actually.
I'm open to revising the way they structure the college playoff system.
Look,
totally open to that.
we all know 4 is ridiculous.
32 freaking teams.
I'll start.
Well,
We can go by.
Doesn't college basketball do 64?
Yeah, we're 64, 68 actually,
Okay, no,
because you
no.
have your playing
We're
games.
just basketball and football are just so different.
I think
so
I think it'd
different.
be. I mean, if you do the 16, we never know what'll happen. So,
No, 16 would be probably fine.
but then you have all division winners.
Good. That's what I
Conference
want.
winners.
That's what I want.
You just want conference winners.
I'd rather have that than random.
So you want a
teams in there.
16 and a 1 play in a conference?
Not necessarily, but I'm saying if I have to take that over the other thing you just offered, then yeah,
It's the
I'll
same
do it.
thing I just offered.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to deal with a 32 and a 1.
Well, it would be a 16 and a 1.
Why would it be a 16 and a 1?
16 plus 16.
All right. Well,
32.
okay, 16, whatever. So then the two would play the 15.
I think
I
it'd be
don't
fun.
want it, whatever.
Hey,
I don't
let us know your thoughts. What you guys like for college football? If they should change it to 16, if they like the 8 coming up, if you want a tournament style, just put in the comments. Let us know what you guys want. All right, Mike. Any final thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to a good weekend of sports, and I'm sure everyone's girlfriends and wives are getting tired of football being on all the time, and hey, just take it easy on them. Just let them know that, like, hey, babe, there's only about a month left of college football, and then only 2 months left of the NFL, and then we can go watch your favorite movie. We can go do all these things, but for now,
I don't know, dude.
for now,
It doesn't work for me.
You're locked in.
That doesn't work for me.
Just let her know. Like, tell her we're on the back half of the season.
I could talk about football, but then there's college basketball. Remember, I continue
that's
on.
true.
I don't stop at football. I got college basketball.
Yes, you do.
And then when college basketball ends, the MLB starts. The NBA is just getting interesting, finally.
No, the NBA is not interesting till May. So they can
April, May. Like, you're pretty
the
much
whole
right
thing
there.
can go
So.
away. Well, I'm just saying, like, just those of you out there that your whole weekends revolve around football, just let her know,
Sports.
like, hey, hon, like, we only got about a month or 2 left of this, and
College
that's all
football
over.
is almost done. NFL will be done in a couple months.
So but here's the thing. For now, you need to stand firm. You need to watch all those goddamn games that you want to watch. You're going to watch them all day long Saturday and all day long Sunday.
Oh, man.
Because this is your time of year, my man, to do whatever the hell you want. So
the pep talk from Mike. The pep talk from Mike. All right, ladies and
you said
gentlemen.
final word, and that's my final word.
I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Please let us know your thoughts here. Who do you like this weekend coming to play? Easy Money Bet. Tell us your thoughts on the college playoff picture. What do you want to see? All in the comments here. Make sure you guys give a like, subscribe, follow, the whole shebang. Much appreciated. We'll catch you next Wednesday.
Sounds good to me. I'll see y'all on the next one.
See you guys.